Hey guys, Qui-Gon Jake here, and welcome back to another BYP tier list video on all the teams in the BYP. And so it's been about a week since the previous video, I think maybe less than that, and there have been some nice welcome changes and updates and graphical revisions to the logos. If you haven't seen that stream, I'll try to link that in the description below. And again, if you're interested in the BYP, definitely go check out AZ Axel's channel and get involved because you can make your own custom player and be on any of these amazing teams. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the first one on the list is the Admirals. In our previous video, they were A tier, and yes, they have not had any changes, and they remain a solid A tier team. A for Admirals. Next one up is the Armadillos. They had a revision, removing kind of that putrid yellowish brown, almost kind of snot colors. It's nice. It's better than it used to look like, but it's still, I think, just a good solid B. And that's not a bad rating. B is still a good rating. It's a very good, competent, mainstream looking team. But they really, I think it's the mascot that's just not doing it for me. But it's still a good looking team, but also B tier. Next one up, the Bats. Bats are my favorite team because I'm going to rename them the Baseball Bats. I am a sucker for puns. I designed this logo myself, so there's absolutely no bias involved in this whatsoever. And yeah, Bats S plus tier team. Now, for the Bears, they also had some minor revisions. And although I like the addition of the red, it's just the mascot that's just not doing it for me anymore compared to other teams just with like the Bats with a really epic looking mascot. So again, not B is not a bad tier, but it is where the Bears fall for my in my humble opinion. Next one up is the Cacti. This is replacing the Swatters. Cacti get a solid A tier. I love the green, white, and red. I love the mariachi hat, or what is that called? It's not called the bandito, is it? I don't know what it's called. But it looks really cool. Solid, really good looking logo and emblem. Good A tier for the Cacti. Next one up is the Captains. Captains are a solid S tier. In my previous video, I believe they were A tier. And the reason being was that their logo, or not logo, it was their font color was a weird gray, and it didn't look very good. Now, look at it. That is really nice. That is solid S tier looking graphic. Next one up, the Cluckers. They were B tier, and unlike the Armadillos and the Bears, where the recolor didn't change their look all that much, the Cluckers did. They're replacing that navy blue with an actual orange and yellow highlights, makes them look really, really good, in my opinion. So Cluckers get A tier, they get promoted. Next one up, the Coyotes. S tier as well. They were an A tier in the previous video because of that weird putrid orange goldish green that was in their mascot and their font. That's been changed to black. Beautiful. This is as good as this team's logo and font can be. Is top tier S tier. You know, S plus is just for the specific teams, but the Coyotes are absolutely cemented in a solid S tier. Now the Ducks. Ducks are going to be another one of those teams where they've had, it was a very, very minor change, replacing the dark green with black, and then the outline replacing the yellow with white. It does look better, but it's still a good solid B tier team for me. The next team, one that also has teeth in it, which is nothing scarier than animals that have teeth in them. Good solid S tier for the Frogs. I like where their logo has gone. I love the kind of the 90s callback with having the O as a baseball for the baseball is the O in the Frogs. I love that they're red-eyed tree frogs now. The only reason I'm not putting them in S plus is because I had a specifically designed frog and baseball color that was just, unfortunately, we could not make it work with the logo. If we could, these guys would be S tier. But alas, we were not. Still a very big promotion from where they were in our first tier list. I think they were like a C tier. So yeah, S from C to S, that's a very, very good change. Next one up is the Giants. Giants were S tier in the last video, and they've been kind of superseded. There are teams that have just really shown and have really improved, and then there are teams that, in comparison, are kind of lacking now. And the Giants, for me, are that team. They're still a good solid A tier, but they're no longer, I would no longer put them in S tier. So that's where the Giants go. The Goats now. Goats have had next to no changes, so that means they stay in B tier. It's a cute icon, again, cute logo, but it maybe one day they'll be renamed to the Rams or something like that, a little more of an aggressive animal. But in the meanwhile, solid B tier. Next one up, the Kings. Kings are A tier. It's a world of difference from what they used to look like. I think they were pretty sure they were D tier in the previous video. And the only reason I'm not putting them in S tier is because there's still some more work that needs to be done on the crown. There's a little too much of that bluish purple, and it's just not it's not highlighting against the yellow very well. But it still looks amazing and a heckin' large, heckin' better difference from what it used to look like. So that's where the Kings are going to get into A tier. Next up, the Mythics. Oh, what more is there to say about the Mythics? Absolutely S plus tier. They're really, from the get-go, the Mythics have been one of the most undeniably best-looking mascots, teams, logos. Their uniforms are fantastic. You just don't see this kind of a team and color combination very often, and they just make it work. It looks so good. So good. Next one up is the Ninjas. Ninjas, I think they were down in C tier because of the colors, just didn't match well. And now they do work a lot better. Replacing the dark purple to a black and replacing that pink outline with black really does help bring that pink out to the surface. It really makes it pop and it looks really good. So that's why Ninjas are going to get A tier. Nobles are going to get, unfortunately, down to B tier. I think they were in A tier in the previous video just because it was a very classic logo, but again, it's like power creep with the Giants. It just doesn't look as good as it used to. And now I will definitely say there are the rumors that the reason I put them in B tier is because I had a logo idea that was shot down by the commissioner is totally, there's no evidence to support that, none at all, and I am taking no questions at this time. The next team is the Owls. Owls are another solid A tier. Another solid A tier. I love the white baseball. It looks like they're swooping down with the moon at their backs, kind of the same as the bats. A good-looking team. I really hope that Who's on First, this is my custom character, gets drafted by the Owls because you know who's on first. I'll bet you they're gonna put him on third base too, and then it's gonna be like, why did you insist on putting who on third base? If you know, you know. Next one up is the Pioneers. Pioneers. They are a very close difference between A and S tier. It's hard, man. That's a hard one because I like the dark green, but I just can't put them in S tier yet because of the logo. The logo itself is, to me, is just not that strong. But I love the change. I think, were also D tier, and so they've climbed up to A tier, and they look really good, though. They do look really good. Next one up is the Queens. Queens, solid S tier. There's no doubt about it. And once they add the stars for the 2 championships they've won, it's gonna look even better. So Queens are absolute S tier. They do not need any sort of need for change or anything like that at all. Reapers. Reapers are also S tier. Again, it's just that level of you can't get any better than this. You will not reach the Mythics level of Epic, but you do have the Coyotes and Captains of just like, I can't really. In comparison to everyone else, they just look that good. They just do. Next one up is the Rockets. Rockets are also a solid S tier. I love the space shuttle as the logo. That's what I grew up on, was watching the space shuttles fly into space, or rocket off into space, I should say. And Rockets, great name for a great looking team and a huge step up from the Apollos. Where their color scheme didn't work, the Rockets make it work and it looks fantastic. So that's why Rockets are S tier. Next one up, here comes the train. Choo choo choo. S plus tier for you. Who doesn't like trains? I mean, come on. It's an epic looking logo with amazingly blazing awesome color scheme. I love trains too. I'm totally not biased because of that. Top S plus tier for trains. They're going to join the 2 other bats and mythics for some of the best logos in the league, without a doubt. Next one up is the Warlocks. Warlocks, I believe, were S. Did I have them in S tier, I think, last time? I think I did. they have also had a little bit of power creep, like just like the Giants and just like the Nobles. Warlock's logo is not as amazing in comparison to the other competitors. Like the Reapers are still S tier because of just how epic their mascot is, but the Warlocks are still a solid A. Still a solid A. And last but not least, we have the Whistlers, who were an S tier, and that is where they stay. You really can't get any better than this with a whistling wiffle ball with those beautiful old MLB baseball colors from when it was kind of beginning as a organization, and it's what more can you do to make this any better? It's so good, and that's why the Whistlers get S tier. So this is my rankings, my totally unbiased rankings of all the teams currently in the BYP. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.